Welcome back to Raised by Giants live discussion. Good to see everyone. Welcome everyone in the chat and any moderators and channel members out there. And to anyone that's listening to the replay, thanks for joining us. If you're listening on YouTube or X, follow the show on the audio only podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast. I know some people like to, watch, and some people just like to listen. But if you're in the car or at work, or you're driving, that's when I listen to a lot of podcasts. Or when I'm making dinner, just throw on the podcast, listen to that audio only. So when you're doing all that stuff, just throw on Raised by Giants podcast and give it a listen. The links are in the description. Also, A Clockwork Shining is now available on Tubi. Anywhere you can download the Tubi app, you can now watch my documentary, A Clockwork Shining, on Tubi. So even if you've seen it already on Amazon Prime, watch it again on Tubi. I have the link pinned to the top of the chat, and it is also in the description of this video. So with us today, we have your favorite Illuminati news broadcaster, host of the DoeNut Factory channel, DoeNut himself. How's it going, brother? Good to see you.
Yo, what up? Thank you so much, Ryder Lee. I'm so grateful to be back with you. I'm doing good. How are you?
DoeNut! Give me that Illuminati news!
Yeah. All your Illuminati news. This is a perfect follow-up, too, from our last podcast that we did, because it pretty much foresaw what's happening now with Harold Putoff. I wonder if he changed his name to Hal because of Stanley Kubrick film.
Hal the Robot, yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting, and I just watched this. Well, I listened to it this morning before the show. I found it very interesting. I mean, Hal Puthoff is a known Scientologist. That's been the big speculation that a lot of these remote viewers in the Stargate program. Was that the last show that we did? Was the the last one we did together was on the documentary of Clockwork Shining. But did we do one about remote viewing in the Stargate?
I posted that this is, psychic control 2.0. I don't know what words I can use, so I'm going to say psychic control, controlling the minds of the masses on the social medias of this Joe Rogan episode with Hal Puthoff. And the backlash is incredibly funny. People are so upset, and they're jumping to conclusions saying, you could project view, you could do that, this guy's lying, and I'm like, they don't even know my podcast, what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that that's not real. I'm saying that the mind control is connected to figures like this, to the Stars Academy. He's the ruler of it. And there's a wonderful article that broke me out of this conditioning of the whole alien psyop. Yeah, right there. Canadian patriot Matt Ehret's work. What do UFOs, Lawrence Rockefeller, and MK Ultra have in common? More than you think. And this article, it came out like 3 years ago or so. And I was like, whoa, being programmed in the 90s to just X-Files, even the first South Park episode, like it was all alien workshop, skateboards, and that. So it was something so dope and something that I like so much. And this is all a program, and we're going through an AI program right now with the micro dosing mixed in with AI, mixed in with traumatic trauma to get people to change their autonomic nervous system so they can set up a new belief system. They're resetting people's belief systems right now. And so when people get all mad that I'm calling this podcast with Joe Rogan, no, this is all real. They don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and what Hal Puthoff was talking about in the Joe Rogan interview was really interesting when it came to UFOs. So essentially, from what he says, is that he was involved in this group that was put together during the Bush administration to essentially list the reasons why the government shouldn't acknowledge extraterrestrial life, right? And he was talking about like politics and how it's going to affect the landscape of like all these different industries, how religion is going to be affected, which again, he's a Scientologist. But I thought that was really interesting because he said it was during the Bush administration, but there's this, I knew that there was a report that was done that jogged my memory while I was listening to this. It's called the Brookings Institute gave NASA advice about extraterrestrial life. So shortly after NASA was founded, it sought expert opinions on the international, legal, and economic ramifications of the U.S. space program. The venerable Washington-based think tank, the Brookings Institute, responded with a 1960s report, which included thoughts on dealing with aliens. So basically, this Brookings Institute report was.
Brookings Institute. Never heard of it.
Yeah, so this came out and it was like, it listed all the reasons why the government shouldn't disclose extraterrestrial or give the American public the truth on UFOs. And this is, I don't know if this was the same document that Hal Puthoff was talking about that he was involved with or not, because it was done in the 60s, but it seems very similar. So it seems like that they're just rehashing something from a really long time ago that they did during the Bush administration, which I thought was really interesting. It took me a while. I had to call 3 different people because I knew that this report existed. The Brookings Institute advice about extraterrestrial life existed, but I couldn't find it anywhere online. I couldn't remember the name of it. And then I called Walter Bosley and I was like, what is the name of that document that basically outlined all of the reasons why we shouldn't disclose extraterrestrial life to the public? And he told me that it's the Brookings Institute, and he's correct.
Interesting. And whenever I see the Joe Rogan show, I even like to look at the numbers because I believe they're signaling to each other, as they had a meeting, a private dinner a month prior to this podcast. Now, this is the most mainstream podcast on the planet. It's, when people say the mainstream media, this is the mainstream media. And I don't know how that is controversial. The most viewed podcast in the world is not mainstream. People's brains are literally broken. And even the Joe Rogan podcast, the coloring of it, the orange and the Sampaku eyes, you'll see all the top influencers with the Sampaku eyes. Even the third eye is Sampaku, showing that it's crazy, that it's unstable, it's a little nuts. But you even got the Danny Jones podcast, which I believe there's an affiliation to both of them because a lot of people that go on there go on the Rogan podcast. But you'll notice that the big podcasters, they got the orange face, so it's anxiety driven. And this has been all throughout the 90s as well, with the crazy eyes like Black Hole Sun, and they're called Sampaku eyes. So I believe that what's happening with this alien disclosure on May 1st, 5/1, May Day, that's why you got an Area 5/1, the day for Marxism, the day for the Illuminatis. This day is a May Day call. It's a distress call date. So Storm Area 51, 5/1, that was a Facebook event. Now these podcasters all talk to the tech elite, really the people that are controlling what's happening now with the AI algorithms. During the time when we had to stay home and be good kids and go to our room, everybody around the world, all the world said, yes, let's agree to this and send everybody to their bedroom. Everyone was in their bedroom, scared, terrified, because the narcissistic personality type does not want to even think about passing away. That is just terrifying. Getting old is very terrifying as well. But we live in this narcissistic psychopathy type culture where these tech elites understand the psychology, the way the world works, cybernetics, managing the population. And these big podcasts, they're sitting down, smoking blunts with the Elon and the tech lead Zuckerberg and all this. We're just normal. Even if you look at Joe Rogan's thumbnails, It's deliberately manufactured in a sense to look like it's underground. You're telling me somebody with over $200 million can't get a thumbnail to fit properly in the frame? It's because it is a psychological trick that Jordan Peterson actually talked about. I think he talked about it back in the day, that the amateur videos on the naughty websites get more views because they're more realistic.
Oh my God, dude, you're speaking to exactly what I was thinking, bro. Like, because I think that I make really good short videos. I think that my short videos should be way more popular than they are. I was doing things way before a lot of other people were doing them. So they were really good. I think that they are too good. They're
Yes.
too good because
Yeah.
I add all these sound effects in there. I add all these transitions. I smooth everything out. I I put a lot of time and a lot of energy and effort. But then someone can just slap something together really freaking fast and get millions of views. And that's what I was thinking. I'm like, these are just too good. They don't look amateur enough. They look like that they're produced by somebody that knows exactly what they're doing. So therefore, it's not getting the click rate and all these people watching it because it looks too professional. And I'm good at what I do. I mean, I have 2 edited documentaries that I put together all on my own that have been highly successful on Amazon Prime and Tubi. So that's what the conclusion that I came to. And you just hit it right on the head. I was like, if you're too professional, if it looks too good, then you essentially have to dumb it down for people, which is ridiculous.
Absolutely. And also, it goes both ways too. It's all about where is the psyche at the time. So right now, we're seeing some sort of kickoff versus the black and the white, right? We can see that trending right now. I'm not going to get too much into it. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about with fundraisers and whatnot. Yeah. And this is artificially like being pumped through algorithms, and there's testing grounds that this takes place beforehand. I won't get too much into it because it's just, a hypothesis, and also it's sensitive material. But when the world was sent into their bedroom, they were utilizing ChatGPT. What happened right when the world opened up? ChatGPT was released to the masses. Oh my goodness, it could write a script for me. Woo, yay, right? You're telling me they're not running these sort of simulations during that time? Absolutely they were, because they were showing us all the documents of how the weather's doing better and whatnot. And there's a total connection to the whole alien stuff with the weather not doing well, because this is one of the big agendas, is the weather, the aliens, all leading to one of the oldest religions called world communism. This is going back to, what Jordan Maxwell would talk about, the sun rising over the mountain, or, the symbol for world communism. This is interconnected because there's different plans for this agenda to go through. And one of that is the green Martians, aliens from outer space is one of those agendas. So I think they're utilizing a ton of different test runs to see which one's going to work, And so the psyche is in a different spot at different times to maneuver. And we can see that with the phones, like understanding social media, being a content creator gives you a different outlook as well as just consuming the content, as you probably have seen.
It's a lot to take on. I mean, as somebody that runs all of his own social media, it's a lot to handle. It's almost a full-time job just posting everything to social media and using all the hashtags, proper stuff. I mean, I have 2 Instagram pages, a X page, 3 Facebook pages, the YouTube, I have the podcast. It's a lot for one person to be able to handle and get it out to everyone. And that's another reason why a lot of these big name people have an entire team behind them. DoeNut. They have people doing all this stuff for them. They don't have to do any of that. You think Joe Rogan is posting all of his own stuff on all of his own social media? Well, one, he doesn't even really have to. The show just sells itself because he's so popular. He doesn't even really need social media. other than to garner more attention. But even if he didn't have social media, he would still be huge because he's already huge.
Well,
He's not the one that's doing all of his social media work. Guaranteed, 100%. Neither is Sean Ryan. Neither is Theo Vaughn. Neither are any of these people. None of them are running their own social media.
Theo Vaughn comes straight from like a nobility family, like a higher up type family. Like, who are these people that are put into power positions, talking with people like Ben Affleck and the tech elite, straight connected to the central intelligence. It's absolutely, I don't trust any of these characters on the world stage manipulating the minds of the masses into political action, because this is the two differences of disinformation and misinformation. Misinformation is we're human, we're going to make mistakes, and then we correct it. Kind of like how I thought the alien stuff was cool and real too, and then I read that report and I'm like, okay, I got to change my tone. I've been duped. Disinformation is omitting certain information, like Harold Putoff is not saying that he's a top Scientologist, straight up there at the very, very top. And because of the interviews I did with the Canadian patriot, Matt Ehret, I understood that he is a handler for Blink-182. This guy, Blink-182, with his Masonic guitar doing the all-seeing eye on the website of To the Stars, putting out these films on Netflix. Netflix, what does it promote? It promotes microdosing. It's the same thing that Timothy Leary was pushing at Harvard, and the same person who was at the same department that took over for him was Jordan Peterson, who's pushing the opposite thing. Order out of chaos. Clean your room. Go to your room, clean your room. It's all mind control for different times in society. So yes, right there's him doing the all-seeing eye right there. But this guy is just the poster boy who is releasing this intelligence information of the UAP reports, the tic-tac-toe. And the tic-tac-toe goes into symbolism as well. And right below there, look, just like CNN, Variety Magazine, like this is all a huge psychological operation, because they're changing the belief system, because the mind control programs that, with Alan Dulles and whatnot, they were unsuccessful in a lot of ways, because if someone has a strong belief system, they could shake it off. Shake off the mind control. So they're really pushing the psilocybin right now. Just do a little microdose of the psilocybin while the AI is being released in Congress, not a YouTuber. Congress is telling the world that aliens exist on the Joe Rogan podcast, and that's what Joe Rogan pushes predominantly. He's got big shows on Netflix. It's not even funny. These Netflix shows, another mainstream simulacrum for the masses, is telling people to do these Eleusinian mysteries and then tell them that the aliens exist, and intermittent with it is trauma, with war, with divide and conquer strategies, with digital silos of hate, with all these different algorithms fueling emotions, right? So you're in a reactive, we react to it. This is why it's very important to understand one's own self and their emotions and whatnot like that. Yeah.
Well, you got Hal Putoff right here on the advisory board to the Scars Academy.
Why is he looking younger? He looks younger now. He'd be looking good for an 88-year-old or whatever.
Yeah, well, and really quickly also to these, back to these influencers really quickly, because another thing that I've discovered is that a lot of these big name people that have like big fan groups, like big time like Facebook groups and like big huge Instagram pages that are essentially out there promoting their content, are also ran by the people that they're promoting. So
damn,
that's how you, it's not organic is what I'm saying. Like, because whenever you would see like a Joe Rogan fan page, or pick anybody anybody's fan page, really, it's probably not ran by an actual fan. It's probably ran by the people that are working for the podcast that they're promoting.
And the people that are picking who comes on at what times. Like Tim Pool brings on a total anti-Israel guest on Israel's birthday. Like, this is intentional to piss off the masses. Like, and he's working straight with the White House. You know, and these are all agents that are intertwined with these CIA and all that.
Well, did you see, speaking of Blink-182, did you see that Mark Hoppus actually might have helped the military capture Saddam Hussein?
Saddam, like, there's articles of him passing away like 10 times. And then he was, I believe, hung like in public. And this is interesting because I believe there's a connection to the hanging ritual and the helical rising of Sirius. Joe Rogan's birthday's on the helical rising of Sirius, right? August 10th and the day centering upon it, which would be August 11th, August 9th. This is when Jeffrey hung himself. You'll see a lot of ritualistic stuff with this day. I believe the Tate Manson CIA murders happen around that time. I could be wrong, but I do know that the son of Sam, right, with his dog, the dog of Sirius, right, the dog in this devil cult he was a part of, and he was, you know, blamed for it. That was on August 10th as well. There was a connection there with August 10th. So, but that's weird. I didn't know that. So he's saving the world, man. He's saving from Saddam and
yeah, Mark Hoppus from Blink-182 plan to capture Saddam Hussein. He's speaking to the military. I have a plan on how to catch Saddam Hussein, the musician recalled telling a Navy admiral on board an aircraft carrier in the Persian Gulf. According to Hoppus, Hussein had been sending video messages to his followers from an unknown location at the time. The musician felt that the military could use drones to their advantage to
I think it froze.
What about having drones fly over the region, capturing patterns, broadcasting time codes above the level of human hearing, but at the level that a video recording could catch it, Hoppus suggested to the admiral. Now, how would Hoppus know to even do this? Well, it turns out that Hoppus's father was a high-ranking military general. Just like it seems like a lot of people in the music industry have high-ranking military general family members.
Andrew Tate as well, or the Doors, or Ariana Grande. Everybody links back to these top military-industrial complex connections.
Same with Sharon Tate. Sharon Tate that you just mentioned. Her dad was a high-up Navy admiral.
You know, I just learned about Manson went to Boys Town and escaped it because they were doing some crazy stuff down there in Boys Town. I don't know if you got into that at all, but that's wild, you know.
Yeah, he was locked up several times and then somehow got out of it. Someone got him out of it, or he got out on his own, or he escaped. But there seemed to be someone that had his back, right? Someone that was high up, either in the CIA or something, that was getting him out of all of this trouble.
Yes.
All the time.
And also we got to kind of go into the Pope a little bit, that the Vatican funds movies like Men in Black 2 and prepares people for the alien disclosure. There's all these documents in it, working with, you know, the World Economic Forum and all that.
Yeah, Danny Casolaro case is a really wild one as well.
What's happened with Dan Casolaro? Because that was that helical rising right there. I'm serious.
You don't know about Danny Casolaro and the Octopus murders?
I don't think so.
Oh, wow. It's a lot to explain right now, but essentially Danny Casolaro was investigating this software company called Promise Software, and that there was a joint signed agreement between this gentleman that was developing the software and the government. And he was the software was to create a database for a lot of criminals so that they could relate all these different cases to everything. So then the government came in and stole that software and didn't pay this gentleman out any money. So Danny Casolaro is investigating it. He finds out that how deep the rabbit hole goes. He finds out that there's like this subset of the CIA that's operating on Native American land in Arizona and like California and all this stuff. And they're this black budget CIA offshoot that's trafficking guns and humans, maybe, that is somehow related to also extraterrestrial UFO technology. There's another UFO connection there. And he ends up dead in a hotel room in West Virginia whenever he's getting ready to go to meet the final whistleblower so that he can write his book and write his report. And then he's found
I
dead.
remember you talking about this last time we talked. They have a movie on Netflix or a show,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, it's a documentary. But the thing about the Promise software is that the Promise software was then sold to several other countries, including Canada and everywhere. But they put a back door, the government put a back door into the software so that they could spy on all the other countries and exactly what they were doing, because it's like a data collection software for, collecting intelligence data. So then they effectively they would know what all the other countries were doing with their intelligence information, because they had a back door into the software that they sold all the other different countries. It's insane. It's an insane story.
And that's exactly what's going on with Twitter and all social media and the phones and all that. It's on some next level stuff. And people are falling for it and they're being duped. And it's just like America fell for a lot of things. They fell for Walmart. It seems like we're moving, which makes me really sad. I just seen it throughout my entire life of just these different principles and values that a lot of people don't have. And a lot of people just woke up to a lot of this craziness because of what happened, where everyone got spanked and sent to their room. And so they're very new to this information. And then you get all these elite families taking over this field that, I'm passionate about, you're passionate about, and all the great researchers who are all like older and either just, they don't got, they're older. They're not out there like putting out content, or they've passed away, who really cared for America. They really cared about, the Constitution and freedom and all that. And now we get this takeover of influencers who are accelerating this divide and conquer strategy, which goes all the way back to Rome. And I just see it happening. And it's like, it's difficult to carry the wisdom throughout the day, because I'm a human, to understand that I have no control over that. But I do have control over my own actions and attitudes. So I got to remind myself that every day. And so there is a solution to that, to all that self-pity that I go through.
Yeah, I imagine that. Yeah, that was just the cliff notes of the Danny Octopus. We could spend a whole hour. I mean, there's so many more nuances than the things that I mentioned, but we would take way too long to explain all. I just gave DoeNut the cliff notes, but definitely something really interesting to look into, DoeNut, for sure.
Yes. And I could show you a slide real quick of this thing called priming. Some people call it predictive programming. I call it priming. It's like a sales technique where they show you what's going to happen before it happens, in a sense. And so just a couple months before, when Joe Rogan was having this private dinner party with Harold Putoff, top Scientologist, this airplane flipped upside down. And I was on it. Like, I was telling people, like, this is not a mistake. Why is the main guy in focus that came out was wearing the To the Stars t-shirt, Harold Putoff's company, wearing the To the Stars t-shirt. And I said that they're going to say that sometime in the future that there was alien intervention, that, I guess the plane didn't land this way. It fell over or something like that. But just this was a huge story. And these are little things like that on the world stage, these movie scripts, in my opinion. What is the coincidence of that? Like, why is out of every shirt that this top story of this thing that when's the last time we've seen a plane upside down and the main guy in the camera focus is wearing a To the Stars shirt, and then a few months later To the Stars is up on the powerful JRE.
Oh, wow. I didn't even catch that. That's incredible. Well, there's been a lot of stuff with planes recently, helicopters, planes going down. You had that lady on the plane saying that the person back there isn't real, which everyone has kind of forgotten about now. You had the submarine explosion. You had the train derailments. You had the helicopter crash, which essentially kicked off 2020 with the Kobe Bryant helicopter crash. It seems like I don't know what it means. I have no idea what it means, but it seems like they're trying to hit every mode of transportation here.
We had Nephilim aliens in Florida, and they were getting fought with, fireworks, the same thing that happened in the show Stranger Things. Then on 5/1, May 1st, the Mayday call, where, yesterday they're having these Congress briefings saying aliens exist, while at the same time, Harold Putoff's coming out saying aliens exist on the most mainstream podcast. On 5/1, the aliens, two of them, landed in Las Vegas and started marching around. And then some kid with the Simpsons shirt is like, we didn't get footage of it, but let's make it a viral story. And the girl on the plane who saw an alien, she saw it on 7/2. She saw it on National UFO Day. And come on, this is the story. It's a mythology because it is traumatic in reality, with all the other news going on with war, division, all the hate that people have, and resentment and fear and anger that people carry, and blame game. Everybody's blaming each other. Everyone's scared of each other. And when these stories come out, it's like, it's the same religious experience that they would get if they had a community or a church or a temple that they go to. You know what I mean? This is intermittent, the UFO reports. So trauma. Here's some UFO story for you to escape. Trauma. This is very scientific going on. And while this is happening, all the top influencers are, here you go, man. Here's some psilocybin. Reset that autonomic nervous system. And also, this goes back. If you look at Marilyn Monroe on Life magazine, which pushed the Gordon Wasson, JP Morgan propaganda, CIA intelligence, pushing the mushrooms to the culture at that time. You look at Life magazine of Marilyn Monroe, right above her, it says the UFO stuff, So this is a long strategy. And I know I might be jumping all over the place without showing slides, so hopefully that's okay.
Well, you got Marilyn Monroe, you got the Monroe Institute,
That's
you got trauma, UFO, AI, trauma, AI, UFO, and then you top that in with the psilocybin stuff. It seems like that they want AI to hijack into our minds. I mean, I 100% believe that our phones are already reading our minds. I've had it happen several times where I don't search anything, I don't Google anything. I just lay there and think about stuff, and then I get ads for the thing that I was thinking about. So imagine if like you were on shrooms, or if you were taking DMT, or you were on psilocybin, or if you took LSD. It's interesting how it switched from LSD to like now, the more organic version of LSD, psilocybin. I mean, and if they legalize that, there's absolutely no way that it's not hijacked. Just like marijuana, weed is hijacked now. There's so much freaking chemicals and so much bullshit in it that it doesn't even resemble the actual real plant anymore. So you're just basically smoking some form of freaking genetically modified government plant is what you're doing. So that would be the exact same way if they were to legalize mushrooms and psilocybin as well. And the first manufacturer of LSD in the United States that was working for the CIA was Eli Lilly Company. Okay. They were also the first manufacturer of Prozac. So they took any of the expanding qualities, any of the benefits of like LSD, right? Because some people do get benefits from, taking LSD, and some people do get benefits from taking psilocybin, right? But there's also a lot of downside, and there's also a lot of side effects. You can get into a freaking psilocybin psychosis pretty easily if you take too big of a dose. But they essentially took all of the properties out of LSD that could be beneficial, and then they scrubbed all that, and then they put out Prozac, and then they got everybody on these antidepressants and these antipsychotics.
Mm-hmm. And also back in the day, because this is the big argument that I get, it's very unpopular. The stuff I talk about is not going to make me go viral. And that's another thing, is that these things that do go viral, they're not true, because the masses, in my opinion, are usually wrong. And the truth is usually a minority of people that are into that. So not when I don't get a lot of views, I'm like, I must, be onto something. But there's also another thing that I know I'm onto something. Working for other YouTube channels covering geopolitics for over a decade. I mean, I've been doing YouTube stuff for 10 years prior to me doing my own thing. So I've understand the algorithm, the thumbnails, and all that, the different clickbait titles and all of this to get clicks and whatnot. And one of the big tellers as well is the pushback. When you get massive amounts of pushback, there's something there. And one of the big things I get pushback on is when I talk about these psilocybin. People are like, no, they're a good thing. They're a good thing. So let's just say, okay, it's a good thing. Well, who was facilitating these spiritual experiences going back to the shaman days, right? Are these people taking these mind-altering chemicals, mind-altering plants, and mind-altering substances through an interface, through the television screen and the phone that is reading your mind? And the phone knows when they're going to take the trip. The phone knows prior to them taking the product from the government. That's what I'm trying to say. You're not walking through a shaman experience in the jungle that's connected to your ancestors. No, you're watching Joe Rogan and Harold Putoff, Scientology, digital interface with your cell phone, communicating with Grok, taking it while they're telling you aliens are real. Like, I bet you that they have the studies, because Amazon, works with the military, works with, the CIA, works with the White House and all that. They have products that will order stuff for people before they even order it. So Amazon knows when people are going to order before it does. So the rollout of emotional content, the rollout of different stories or products that you see, you pick up your phone and you're thinking of something and it pops up, right? Reading our minds. It's not a daily strategy. Oh, how can we get the masses to do something today? It's like, nah, they know a week ahead, a month ahead when you're going to purchase a product. So maybe on the world stage, maybe yesterday or today, maybe they know that this weekend more people are going to be microdosing through their Palantir data algorithms. So let's release this content that aliens are real because they know that people are going to check their phone. And then it forecasts that. Or like Kanye, who wore the capriote that they wear for Holy Week in Spain a week prior to Holy Week in Spain, and then the Pope's death and whatnot. Maybe they released the content like a week before, so it really seeds into the subconscious mind of the masses, and then they have the events go off. But yeah, so that's my argument to people who say it's like a good thing to do.
Well, before we get onto the Pope, because there's a lot of interesting stuff going on there. Thank you, Green Eyed Crow. Thanks for being here, and thanks for DoeNut sending you over here. I appreciate it. I hope you find a home here on the channel. A lot of people that are supposed alien contactees, right? Some of the people that supposedly channel extraterrestrial entities, okay? They say that the contact happens through their technology. So the entity,
really?
The entity comes through their phone.
Wow.
Their
Just
entity comes through their computer. Their entity comes through their television.
Oh, snap.
Several people that I've talked to has told me that that's how their extraterrestrial contact was first started, was that the entity morphed through the technology.
That's wild. And also when I'm talking all this crap about this stuff, I'm not talking crap about, there is a phenomenon. There is a UFO phenomenon. Many people seen it. I've seen stuff that, there's also, so I'm not discounting that at all. I'm saying that this is, a controlled operation happening right now, but that's crazy. So they coming out of the screen and all that. I didn't know that.
They're coming out of their phone. They're coming out of the TV. They're coming out of the computer screen. So there's something to do with the technology, which then gets me to like, okay, well, how did all this technology first develop? Like, where did we get the idea to even really create this technology? Was this technological advancement actually given to us by some other thing? I mean, Alex Jones talks about, how they would, like, high up government officials will take DMT and then go into a room and then communicate with entities that tells them what to do. Okay, and I'm not saying that I believe everything that Alex Jones says, but that's an interesting aspect. And then you go back to John Dee and Edward Kelly way back in like Prussia. Okay, that's what they were doing. They were channeling these entities. What did they call them? They call Enochians, the Enochian angels. That they would channel them, and then they would give them information on how to build things and like what to do. So maybe that some of this technology was given to us from some sort of other entity, and then we created this technology here with all the this technological grid that we now have all over the world that gives these etherical entities the ability to interface with, I don't know, might sound nuts. I might sound crazy.
No, it doesn't at all. No, it doesn't at all. Also, it just reminds me too of, remember when people were seeing people's demon faces and faces shifting, and you did a video on Smile 2, and I watched it because of your interview about the movie Smile 2. Do you remember that with
Yes.
Jay
Weiner? Yeah.
And Jordan Maxwell, he just loved Jay so much. He always spoke so highly of him. And then when I saw you talking to him about Smile 2, I was like, I'm going to watch this movie. I don't usually watch like movies. And I'm watching this film. And something that I noticed, just to add on top of stuff with my research on facial expressions, that the Sampaku eye was very prominent in that film. Her facial expression, her eyes, she was scared. You could see it. I mean, what a wonderful actress she was with her eyes. Like it wasn't even about talking and speak. It was just the feeling in the face. And I think this is a psychological reason too, because of the society is numbed through drugs, alcohol, and narcissism, that they don't have feelings anymore. Not that they don't have feelings, obviously they have feelings, but they have suppressed the feelings. And the suppression of the feelings, they watch a film like Smile 2, and they're like, oh my gosh, I feel like that, because it's showing something of emoting in a sense. And I think that there's something genius to using that in film with facial expressions. Jim Carrey was the master at it, right? And he was very popular in the 90s and 2000s with
Well, you know that Jim Carrey went through CIA like torture training, right?
I did not know that, but it makes sense. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, he went through CIA torture training for the to be the Grinch, because having the Grinch makeup and the Grinch costume on all the time was like they knew that it was going to like drive him crazy. So he had to go through like torture training in order to be the Grinch.
Poor guy. That's crazy. That is wild. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's insane. And what if, DoeNut, what if like these extraterrestrials, because I don't believe that they're physical. I don't believe that they've ever been physical. But you know how like people like to talk about how we got the technology from the aliens to like build our own craft? Well,
Right.
what if it's not craft? What if it wasn't craft? And this was more of a spiritual interface in the beginning with these other entities. Okay, and then that's how we got the information in order to build our technology. And then that gives them an interface. And now we have AI, which then gives them a back door, like the government loves to put back doors into everything, which gets into also John McAfee and his antivirus software, which then just gave him a back door. He put a back door into that so that he had access to everyone's computers, reportedly, back in the day. Can't say that for a fact. That's just what he says. Uh, what if that was what it was? And it wasn't a physical entity. It wasn't a physical craft. It was these people that were interfacing with these entities through some sort of ritualistic method. They were able to communicate with them. The entities told them how to build something. And by saying that it wasn't, like a craft or a UFO, which I do believe that a majority of everything that we see is all military craft, and maybe that was a part of it. But people are always like, oh, well, we got the technology from the aliens. The aliens gave us the technology. Well, what if we've been using the technology that the aliens gave us all this time, and it's right under our noses, and it's our cell phones, it's our computers, it's this technological advancement.
We adapted very quickly to the cell phones, and it feels like we've had them before. But also, that's the great thing of the spirit of mankind, is that we are adaptable creatures, so we can adapt quickly to what's happening. But that's wild. I do believe that that's what it is. There's a spiritual phenomenon in a spiritual world, and it's pretty much proven in a lot of ways with records amounts of people, especially being in recovery. For example, that Carl Jung said the only cure for alcoholism is having a psyche change, which is a soul spiritual type shift of consciousness in a sense. And many people have reported this. This is the only cure, which is on another spiritual level. It's not like a pill or something that you take, even though a lot of companies sell stuff like that. And this is the craziest thing, is to stay sober, because anybody can get sober, but to stay sober, you got to stay connected to like spiritual principles and do like spiritual kind of things and whatever that, that churches do, synagogues do, you know what I'm saying? Like mitzvahs, good deeds, or, whatever it is, to stay connected to the spiritual world, to stay sober. So this is the cool thing. Everyone likes to give drug addicts and alcoholics a bad rap, and, treat them like they're nothing. But they've got some, if they're spiritual, working on spiritual like life and changing their life around, they are so connected to God in a sense. Just like I'm not I don't know theology, the Bible well or whatever, but I know the story that Jesus was hanging out with, like that's what I hear, that he's hanging out with the pimps and the prostitutes. That's what people say. I'm sure he doesn't say that like in the Bible, like word to word, but he's hanging out with people that were living like a sinful life or whatnot, and having them change around. So just that aspect alone makes me, in my opinion, I know that there is a spiritual world. And also you get like the light spectrum too. Like we don't see everything. Like I'm on a walk, and if the sun hits a certain direction, you see all these like little bugs, but I don't always see that. Like, and so what else is out there? Like a rainbow, like it with sprinklers. I go on a lot of walks. That's kind of like my thing. And like you walk by sprinklers and it hits correctly, you can see like a rainbow. Like it's just like that rainbow, like you can't like touch that rainbow, you know what I mean? And I don't know, I find stuff like that trippy, and I have spiritual experience just like through something like that. You have the spiritual experiences throughout the day.
Yeah, when people talk about, like recovered drug addicts and alcoholics, those are the most creative people in the world. They are. They're the most down to earth, most creative people ever. I mean, I've had my own struggles. That's not a secret. In the past, in my very first show that I ever did, which was on Wayne Steiger's channel, like that's I told everyone all about that, and it has been like, dude, the people that can recover from that are like superhuman people. Dude, they're a different breed of people. I believe that recovered drug addicts, recovered alcoholics, people that listen to metal music, people that are musically inclined at all, plays any kind of instrument, are like superhuman people. They're built different. They're different kinds of people. And I applaud anybody that is able to get off drugs or stop drinking as outstanding members of society, because it is super rough. It is hard. It's hard, and anybody that can do it is like, my hat's off to you. It's impossible. I mean, I had a gentleman on with Jerry Marzinski, that his name was he goes by Boston 2%, where he's talking about meth addiction and how he was addicted to meth, and like how he believed that he was in the Truman Show, that everything was fake. He was in a meth psychosis. Then he cleaned up and got sober, and he's been sober for a really long time. And he's written a book called The Meth Bible. It's on Amazon Prime. I'm going to get him back on at some point in the future. But if religion can help people, and God can help people, and believing in Jesus can help people, then more power to them. More power to them. If you're living that kind of life, I'm not the person to tell you that doesn't work. If it works for you, makes you a better person, you can live your life better, then by all means do it. Whatever that is, whether that's Buddhism, whether that's Hinduism, whatever it is that you want to believe. If it makes your life better, if it's kept you from, completely imploding and destroying your life, if it's spiritual, if it's yoga, if it's doing breath work, if it's believing in the universe, or believing in Gaia or the earth or the trees or whatever, if it makes you a better person, then I'm not anybody to tell you that you can't do that. You shouldn't do that.
I was listening to some Ozzy before the show, and it says a good quote that I liked. It was, maybe it's not too late to learn how to love and forget how to hate. And I was like, damn, that's deep. Maybe it's not too late to learn how to love and forget how to hate. And I was
And
like, damn.
that goes along with being sober too. I mean, I've been sober for 6 years now.
Damn.
So that's amazing accomplishment. I believe, because again, like a lot of people that are on drugs or addicted to drugs, like very few of them. I think it's like 2%. Well, that's what Boston 2% said on my show, which I think the statistic is sound, that only 2% of drug and alcoholics, they stay recovered, that never touch an alcohol or a drug ever again. Only 2%.
I could not go an hour without touching some pot. You know what I mean? I could not go an hour. So like, it's just incredible. What it is that Rome isn't built in a day, and it's just like just taking it just today. Just taking it just today, and that's it. Like tomorrow, I don't know what's gonna happen, but today, kick it with Ryder Lee, and make sure to smash that like button, everybody, and subscribe to Ryder Lee.
Thank you, bro. I mean,
ads.
raise my
Ads.
I mean, we got to stick together, bro. I mean, that's the whole thing, and it also creates this like weird like competition between like like podcasts and people that have like channels too. It's another problem with being in this community of people, is it seems like that people that are really popular don't want to lend to like a helping hand to other people. Like as many times as I've had guests on the show that don't share out the content, like, or that don't share out the freaking short videos that I make that are really good, like makes zero sense. Like I'm also promoting you, like you are on my show. Like I'm promoting you and I'm promoting me. And I put a lot of work and time and energy into make these freaking clips to make you look really good. And like you're not sharing them out. Like it's weird.
Maybe
it's a
they
weird
don't
thing
know.
in the
Maybe
community.
they don't know. You never know, because sometimes people get busy and you just don't.
Yeah, or maybe I skips over them. I don't know, but it's been more of them not doing it than that they
And
have.
sometimes people were like the hardest critics on ourselves too. So like I because I'm a video producer. Like before I never wanted to like be on the camera. Like I wanted to be behind the camera. I still like if I had like dollars, you know what I'm saying? I didn't have to work, and I'm just kicking back. I would much rather produce content and film it, be behind the scenes. I'd rather be behind the scenes. So like I wouldn't take it personally, because if somebody sees themselves, we're the harshest critics of ourselves. Because I would produce videos for big rappers and stuff like that. And of course, yeah, they're big rappers. See, I'm a harsh critic on myself. I was going to say they're not that great, but we're harsh critics on ourselves. And I always share the stuff I work so hard on. They want to share it out. They want to post it or whatever. But it was probably because they were insecure in some way, and they didn't like people are so insecure. So I wouldn't take it personal.
Yeah, it's just weird, like the stigma and the things. Like we should be helping each other out, and I always give that kudos to you. And there has been several people that has helped me out that has had way bigger channels than me. I mean, people brought me on in the beginning of my show when I was first starting out. They had no idea who I was, and like brought me on. And so there's a lot of good people in the space, and I consider you one of those. You've always helped supported me, brother. So I really appreciate you, dude.
Well, hey, I'm grateful that you like me, because you are like OG, top tier researcher, call out the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm happy about that. Thank you.
So let's get onto this Pope stuff, because there's a lot of interesting, wild stuff along with the Pope. The Pope died a day after Easter. But parts of Europe then had a blackout.
Mm-hmm.
Then supposedly Jerusalem was also on fire as well. It's weird.
Yeah, and
Weird stuff going
also
on.
the WEF step down of
Klaus Schwab.
Yeah, at 80, as he enters 88, the Pope dies at 88, and this Harold Putoff's 88 too. and he's born on the summer solstice. So a lot of rituals happen through astrological alignments, and there's a pattern recognition, and you can just, it's the same birthdays, the same death dates, the same types of rituals. Like Jerusalem was on fire on Beltane. Beltane is like known as the fire festival, May 1st and whatnot. Weird coincidence. The Spain going through its power outage, the largest power outage ever in Spain and Europe, underreported. No one talked about it. I talked about it because I knew the importance to events like this. These are serious events that are going down. People don't understand what would happen if it continued. It was only for a couple hours or whatever, but if it was for a couple days, I mean, I think it's 3 days when the cannibalism starts to happen. And I don't want to be a fearmonger. This isn't fearmongering. This is the warnings from people like Newt Gingrich, Netflix, that puts Joe Rogan up on there, Leave the World Behind, produced by the Obamas. It's all, yeah. I don't know, man. It's
Do people forget about that Leave the World Behind movie? See, there's so much stuff that comes out like 24/7 that people just stop talking about the things that happened just the day before. You know, I'm doing this whole series on Virginia Giuffre, the Epstein victim that just killed herself, and that seems to be like just going away when there's.
So was it Mandela effect?
Well, I don't believe so. I think, well, what happened with me was that she was in the bus crash on March 24th. She posted the photo that she had 3 to 4 days to live, that she was dying of kidney renal failure on the 30th. And people had reached out to me whenever the bus accident happened, saying that she had died in the bus accident. And I didn't look into it. I wasn't interested because I'm like, well, this is probably just a coincidence. Like, people are in accidents all the time. It just happens to be one of Jeffrey Epstein's victims that got into the bus accident. So I didn't pay any attention to it. So I was kind of shocked on the 25th when the report came out that she had killed herself. I was kind of like, what's going on here? This doesn't make any sense. Like, and then I started looking into the bus accident and all the weird and strange things with the bus accident. And then her looking like that she like got beat the shit out of on the side of her face. This doesn't look like it came from a bus accident. It looks like it came from someone just repeatedly hitting her in the side of the face. And why is she going into renal kidney failure? There's only a couple of things from that. Like, you're either poisoned or you've been beat over over a long period of time. And it turns out that her husband has been abusing her for allegedly 10 years from this People magazine article that came out just a week after she left the hospital on the 30th. And this article is just is nothing but circumstantial evidence that implicates her husband, Robert Giuffre. I mean, it says right here that if she has another incident with her husband, and she's afraid that she's not going to make it out alive, then she posts, a tweet from 2019 saying, "I'm making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I suicidal. I have made this known to my therapist and GP. If something happens to me for the sake of my family, do not let this go away. Help me protect my family." And then it turns out that there are several other people that also died in the exact same way. Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell victims. Jeffrey Epstein, this is a Fox News article. Virginia Giuffre's death marks third loss. Experts say predators need to be punished. Virginia Giuffre is the third one. So this lady, Caroline Andriano, who testified against Ghislaine Maxwell during her sex trafficking trial, died May 3rd of 2023 after an accidental drug overdose in West Palm Beach, Florida hotel room. Leah Skye Patrick died at age 29 after a drug overdose in West Palm Beach, Florida in 2017. The authorities said that it was an accidental drug overdose. And then now they're saying that the Virginia Giuffre was a accidental drug overdose, is what her lawyer is saying. He thinks that the suicide should be investigated because he thinks that it was an accidental drug overdose. So we have 3 people that have supposedly been killed that were Epstein, calling out Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, that have supposedly died of an accidental drug overdose. I don't think that's a coincidence, DoeNut.
Did you see the balloons go up?
Yeah, because I did this, I think.
Well, the big one is the assassination of the judge's son and attempted assassination of her husband that was looking into the Epstein connections to Deutsche Bank, which is a huge one. Deutsche Bank was working closely, laundering the money with Epstein and whatnot, which has this huge history with the National Socialist and all that, the Deutsche Bank connection there, and the Harvard connection too. Like Harvard's all in the news, right? Where you got the House of Lords, Candace Owens talking, we need to protect Harvard. That's where Epstein had his own office at. That's where the MK Ultra psilocybin type experiments were happening with Timothy Leary and Jordan Peterson. A lot of strange stuff is this. The schooling system is my new interest of fascination. My family thinks I'm crazy. Mark, he was connecting that they're all connected, the Ivy League schools, to a dragon ley line. And I was like, man, that's fascinating. And then you got Skull and Bones, that went totally woke. But they got this long history too, with their symbolism and the different groups and the presidents like the Bushes or Kerry. And so like these schools are really interesting breeding grounds. The Rhodes Scholarship, at Oxford, which Candace's husband was very connected to. Not that anyone who goes to Oxford is bad or whatever, but there's these secret societies like Skull and Bones, and then Harvard, and there's all these different schools. And now I'm learning about Georgetown and the Carroll family, the Carroll dynasty. And then you got this Carroll guy that's taken over Candace's show. And you got Russell Brand. Well, the Skull and Bones is the Russell Trust. Like, I look into etymology and words because they're also symbols. The facial expressions are symbols. God bless you. The different symbols are something that I like to look at. I got a rose on my hat, which I think looks tight. But the rose symbolism goes super deep into a lot of different. You got the Tudor, the War of the Roses, the communists or socialists, the fist in the rose.
Well, Mr. Langley says that he believes that the videos of the Pope was AI, that he died in February or March and wanted to do the ritual. I think that that's what they did with Queen Elizabeth, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that she died a couple of weeks or at least a week before they had announced that she had died. But then we had video and photos of JD Vance meeting with the Pope on Easter.
Yeah.
What do you think was the deal with that? Do you believe that the Pope dying? I mean, he wasn't looking good. He wasn't looking too hot.
He was not. He was not looking too hot. No. All roads lead to Rome. People are always blaming the Jays, but they're not looking at the other Jays, like the Jesuits. He was the first Jesuit Pope, So there's a big connection to that with my study of the Illuminatos, where we get the word Illuminati from. The Jesuits were created by the guy who was part of the Illuminatos, the Illuminati. So there's this huge connection there in the study that I've been on, doing the Illuminati news, and the Vatican funding Men in Black 2, its connections to the new capitalism connected with the Rothschilds and the Red Shield and the World Economic Forum. for inclusive capitalism. It's very leftist ideology. The big breakthrough for me, I would say, over the last year and a half is studying the ideologies of the whole woke stuff, right, of the left. And it doesn't matter if it's left or right, just knowing where are people's ideologies at. And a lot of the movement that I am so passionate about is infested with leftist ideologies, communist ideologies, Marxist ideologies. And the older generation that I looked up to a lot, but also the newer generation too, with these crazy ideologies, they were very pro like freedom, Constitution, America. This whole idea is fairly new. America's only been around for like almost 300 years. She is a very new idea. All throughout history, there's never been a time of like individualism and whatnot. It's always been collectivism. It's always been the crowd. It's always been the mob rule. It's always been the democracy. And so, of course, we're going to move away from that. And now I'm learning about the tech elites' philosophies. And I'm not saying that it's bad. I can't say that they might understand stuff that I don't know, and I could be totally wrong about, how I look at it. But usually I'm not. Usually, like, your gut instinct is usually on point. Have you noticed that? Like, throughout your life, you're like, damn, I thought that, and I had a gut feeling about that. All my life, everyone gaslit me, said me, no, I'm wrong. And then it turns out I'm right. But then it's right on like my own self. And they're right too, because they love whatever. I don't know, maybe I'm getting too deep with it. But the tech elite have a philosophy of accelerating society to collapse so they can build a new monarch, a new, not a new system, an old system. But I don't know if you dive deep into that yet, but it's interesting.
What's another interesting thing with the Pope is that Mel Gibson on Joe Rogan, here's another Joe Rogan one that it was back in January, I believe, Mel Gibson on the Joe Rogan podcast, where he essentially says that there hasn't been a Pope for however many years. Hold on, let me see if I can pull this up. Okay, so he's been covering up for people who are child molesters. Mel Gibson has serious allegations against Pope Francis in the Vatican. I don't think this is the article, but he said on Joe Rogan that he didn't believe that there's been a Pope at the head of the Catholic Church for. Do you recall that? Do you remember what he said?
No, I don't, but he's a funny guy.
He said something about that there some kind of belief systems or Mel Gibson revelations on the Joe Rogan Experience.
I'm just so happy that Hollywood's gonna save us.
Yeah, Mel Gibson is now the ambassador to LA, I think.
I don't understand how everybody just falls for all the Hollywood propaganda. Like all the truth seeker tellers and all that are straight manufactured out of the CIA.
I can't find exactly what he said, but he said something along the lines that there hasn't been a real Pope, or it's been a black Pope or something like that in the position and power of the Pope for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 decades. Don't quote me on that, but I remember hearing it on there. What do you think about these?
Once you go against like the popes that go against these movements, because there's been good popes out there that were like, oh man, I don't like this whole agenda that's going on. They get poisoned 33 days into their like, pope. And then the other pope, he walked into the square and there was an assassination attempt on him, just like Trump as well. So I didn't know anything about that, but it's interesting.
Okay, so Hidden Hand says he said that since Pope John Paul II, I think there was no Pope, not a real one.
Yeah, and from my research, and I'm fairly new to it, and I don't like to talk about stuff I don't really know too well, but I heard that number 2 Pope, he like had to like switch up his take after the assassination attempt.
That's what it was. Okay, thank you, Hidden Hand. So this is what Mel Gibson was explaining. See, I remembered him talking about it. I just can't. I have so much stuff that I have in my head that I got to remember that it's difficult for me to remember every single freaking thing. But Hidden Hand coming through with the knowledge here, and Hidden Hand remembers. So Mel Gibson was saying on Joe Rogan that after the one time where the white smoke came out, but then they did black smoke after the white smoke. It only happened once in history. So apparently after John Paul II, white smoke is supposed to come out whenever they have elected a new pope. But black smoke, and if black smoke comes out, that means that they haven't elected a new pope. So after John Paul II, white smoke came out first, and then black smoke came out after. So they're saying that all the popes after John Paul II have not been real popes, that we haven't had a pope in there since John Paul II.
Also, I think what they're doing is they're going to put this pope who's black out there because there is something called a black pope in the black nobility. So I believe they're going to put this black pope in the front to cover up like the black nobility that like marries into the Rothschild bloodline to hide, so they can blame it all on the Jewish people.
Yeah, some weird going on here with these popes.
Something strange is happening.
Something strange is going down. Get your Illuminati news here from DoeNut.
Something strange is happening worldwide.
Yeah, what do you think about these blackouts, though? Do you think that the European blackout stuff is some sort of test for the future? Because people have been talking about this blackout thing for a really long time. Like, seems like freaking decades and it kind of ramped up hardcore in 2020. There was a bunch of fears over an EMP attack from China or Russia, and that was like that was really big for a couple of months. Everyone was talking about that, and then that kind of faded away into the background. But I think that there's always been this fear of a giant electrical blackout that may cause the United States to go into, like, what do they call it, 12 days of darkness or 8 days of darkness or whatever. People have been talking about it for a really long time, or the sun goes into supernova or something and there's a discharge from the sun. There's varying ways that people have talked about that there's going to be an electronic blackout. So what do you think of these blackouts through Europe? Should this be something that people in the United States or anywhere else in the world should be looking at?
They're warming everyone up for these events. This is mainstream. The guy from the WEF who just stepped down, he said these are the next events that are going to happen, because the purpose of it is to change the internet so we can't get information on the information highway. So that's like one of the things, and all these different cities that are being built with the whole smart, wicked smart cities. This is just been in the plans for a long time. Jack Dorsey, he did his first tweet on 3/22 Skull and Bones Day. If you look it up, it might say 3/21, but in another country you'll find another one that says 3/22, whatever. So these numbers and dates are very important. And he also tweeted something called Day Zero. He wrote Day Zero on August 10th, the helical rising of Sirius, when Epstein hung himself, supposedly. And then we have the show Zero Day. Zero Day is about these events like the blackouts in Europe. So there is a connection to all this stuff with the tech elite. And the new guy that bought Twitter, Elon, he tweeted, "This is a test." And shout out to Jacob Israel. He found this information. This is a test. 33 days after it, the blackouts in Europe happened, which was underreported. And then Tim Pool, who owns the Knights Templar logo, he has a double cross behind him with a Knights Templar thing, working with the White House. He came online, not a live stream. He usually does a live stream. He had a premiere because the White House told him what to say. And he comes online and he says, "I didn't think this was important, but it actually is important. Maybe we should talk about it. These are cyber incidences or whatever. So that was strange. The whole story was just not a popular story. No one was talking about it. None of the big news agencies were highlighting it really, when this was absolutely important. There was even some meme magic around it, where there was a viral meme against Spain and America with Spain kids smoking cigarettes and chilling, and that America doesn't know anything about living life like this. And then just a couple days later, blackout happened. Candace has a book called Blackout, Leave the World Behind Blackout. There's a Mountain Dew called Pitch Black. So there's all this priming, like we showed that screen in the beginning of the airplane upside down, and the guy's wearing To the Stars t-shirt. Then like a month after it, To the Stars Academy guy goes on the mainstream podcast for the whole world to see that the aliens exist. And everybody is microdosing. So this is part of the agenda somewhat. It's scary stuff. So I've been looking at that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting, this day zero stuff. And then you have to leave the world behind, which isn't, they don't explicitly state the reason why everything has gone to shit, but they think that it has something to do with some kind of blackout and some kind of, cyber attack, which is another fear that has been propagated out through a lot of different people and a lot of different things, is like this fear of like a big cyber attack. So maybe we get a cyber attack and then some kind of blackout to, install the cyber attack and make everything on the internet like different. They have to do a new internet at some point, and they have to make more restrictions on it at some point in the future. I mean, what's his name? I'm blanking on his name right now, but I've had him on my channel before. Max Egan. Max Egan has been talking about that for a really long time, how they're going to do the blackout thing, take everything down, and then they're going to install this new internet that's going to be like a lot of way more surveilled and way more, tied to your digital ID and not be able to do any of the things that you were able to do before. I don't know how much truth there is to it. Maybe.
Yeah,
he's been talking about it a long time.
My Jewish homie went to Max Egan's camp out that he does, and he took more Kambo than anybody that Max has ever seen do, ever. And he's got it on him like, because it like scars you.
Kambo is crazy. Kambos are, I think, a really good plant medicine to do. Have you ever done it?
No. I don't. I've been sober for like 10 years, so I don't do anything.
It's not psychedelic. It's not a psychedelic drug.
You just throw up and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like to flush your system out from, toxins and parasites and stuff like that. So it's just like they burn a few layers of your skin off, and then they put this. Might be getting the name of it wrong for some of the Kambo experts out there, but it's like it's an ancient frog medicine that they put on you, and then you just it's non-psychedelic, just makes you just like throw up and like purge out all of your energy.
Now, do you think taking this, because you're taking a frog's, like a part of a frog in a sense? My friend, when he did it at Max's compound, I was making fun of him. This is like 12 years ago. I was like, oh, the frog. And he got really upset with me. Do you think that there's like entities connected to that at all? Because there's been entities connected to different things, like Benadryl has the Hat Man, the Machine Elves connected to that. Even though I know it's not mind altering like you're saying, I didn't know that. So thank you. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've done it like 6 times, and it really helped me. It helped me quit smoking the first time that I did it. I completely quit smoking. Then I started vaping after that. I did it again, and then I quit vaping. And then I started doing nicotine pouches, and then I did it again, and then I stopped doing nicotine pouches, and I didn't do any nicotine for like
So
three
when
or
you
four
do it,
years.
you don't trip at all. It's not a trip.
No.
And you just get sick and you get diarrhea and throw up? Or is that what happens?
Some people get diarrhea, not everyone. I never had diarrhea from it, but some
Then you-
people do. Some people, it comes out the back end and not the front end.
Is it a lot of throwing up, or is it like nose, like snot and stuff like that?
Depends on, your first time that you do it, you're going to struggle. You're going to be on the struggle bus, dude, because you don't really know what to expect. It's like a trial and error type thing. But whenever you do it the first time, you're going to be like, oh my God, dude, this is rough. I don't know what's happening, because you don't want to throw up. So you kind of have to force yourself to kind of throw up.
I don't
But
understand.
I had the best sleep of my entire life after the first time that I did it. And I did it in a big group of people in Santa Ana, California, a big group. And I was the last to do it in the group. And I was on the freaking struggle bus, dude. And all the people that had been there several times were all watching me like struggling and wiggling and everything. But dude, after it was done, bro,
How long did it
I had
last?
the best rest of my entire life.
How long did the sickness last for?
It's different with different people. The first time you do it, it'll probably last for, I mean, it seems like a long time, but maybe 10 minutes at max. It's probably it's probably a lot less than that. It's probably like 5 minutes, but it feels like a really long time because you're in it,
Is it like a near-death experience?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it's not a near-death experience. Sometimes they give you other forms of plant medicine before you do it. It's kind of like it's like a ceremony. If you do it with like legit people, it's like a whole ceremony that they like put together. So the first one that you do is forget what the name of it is, but it's like a tobacco. It's like a tobacco that they put into your nose, and then you're supposed to like ground you, and then they give you the combo, and then you do the combo, and then they do a thing that's called sananga, which are like these eye drops that they put in your eyes.
Right?
It burns, bro. It burns. But I recommend doing it because you got to get the full experience of the whole thing. But they say it's to decalcify your pineal gland, which I don't really know. It just feels like it's freaking straight up hot sauce being poured into your eyes. But
yeah,
say
but
that
I heard you could see better after it.
Yeah, it's supposed to improve vision and like do all kinds of stuff. So I don't know. I've done it like 5 or 6 times. I haven't done it in a while because I haven't lived in Southern California for a while. But if I did, I would be there probably once a month. It was non-psychedelic, nothing to it. You just like purge out all of your. It's been known to heal all kinds of ailments, diseases, sickness, colds, flus, whatever. But I would recommend it for somebody that is also in recovery. It's not no triggering aspect to it at all. Like there's no high to it. You don't get any high other than the tobacco that they might put up your nose. If you don't do nicotine, then it's going to jolt you. You know what I mean? Because it's a high concentrated amount of tobacco that's going directly into your nostrils. So it's definitely going to give you a head high if you don't, do any kind of nicotine.
Straight to the brain.
Straight to the dome, baby. But I like Kambo. If I knew someone around here that did it, then I would definitely do it again. It definitely helped me. But 100% non-psychedelic. If you get the opportunity, I think that you should do it. It's great. Yeah, but some people, they do it to build up to doing the ayahuasca, like some of the ayahuasca people. Well, I've never done ayahuasca before, but some shamans like in Peru will recommend that you have at least 5 combo sessions before you do a ayahuasca ceremony.
Yeah,
I'm never going to do ayahuasca. I don't like it. I think it's dumb.
We freaked out of that.
Yeah. Not going to do it. But Yeah, man. So these blackouts, I think we covered a lot today, bro. And I appreciate you coming on. Appreciate everyone in the chat. Can you let people know where they can find you online?
You can find me at DoeNut, DoeNut.
DoeNut Factory on YouTube, baby.
Yes.
Cool, my friend. You got anything else going on? How's the Illuminati comic doing?
It's doing very well. Anyone who ordered the Illuminati comic, we had a very successful campaign, all independent. So absolutely awesome. And we worked, me and Paranoid American, on it for over a year, writing it. And so it's really great. I mean, absolutely fantastic. People are loving it, which I'm happy about. I'm, all about value. And especially when it comes to products and stuff like that, I want to make sure it's top notch. And Paranoid American, he does top notch work. So yeah, it's a lot of fun and it's good. Yeah, it's good. And eventually I'll have some extras laying around. So I'll be probably getting those out there next month or so.
Can people still get the Illuminati comic if they want it?
Well, next month I should have some leftovers where I'll be selling them after everyone gets their packages, because we're still mailing out. Over 850 people ordered the comic in different packages and stuff. So once all of that's sent out, I'll have some leftovers that I'll get out there for people.
Cool. Thanks, brother. The links to all of DoeNut's information is in the description of this video. Thanks for being here, everyone. Please be sure to hit the thumbs up button to help the channel and the algorithms. Share, subscribe, hit the bell icon as well for notifications. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Have a great weekend, everyone.